Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello here, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Possible here in Dark Souls 2, and today we're going to take a look at the first half of Iron Keep. But before we do that, we do have a little bit of shopping to do with Rosabeth, because she sells a spell called Flash Sweat that's going to be very useful to us. So Flash Sweat is a pyromancy that when cast gives you an extra 300 fire defense, and for some of the items, 3 of the items in particular in Iron Keep, it is going to be crucial to our survival, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So you can see right under this first staircase, there's one of the items that we are going to want to use Flash Sweat to get, but not just Flash Sweat, because I did test it earlier, and with the current gear that we have and the vitality that we have, we cannot get that item without dying, which is not ideal. Or maybe it is. I'm not here to judge. And there's item number 2 that's going to take some maneuvering to get to, but first we have a couple of Alonne Knights that we need to take care of. So just as a quick reminder, all of the items that we're using, our armor and our weapons, are completely unupgraded. I have not spent any souls or any Titanite to upgrade any of these weapons, and here we are in Iron Keep, which can be a rather challenging area, and you're going to see that I make quick work of it just because of the actual spells that we've been able to pick up during this playthrough. And we get our first Alonne drop here, which is the Gauntlets. We will talk to Magarold a little bit later. First, let's deal with this Alonne Knight. Grab ourselves the armor that he drops, and this Pharros Lockstone hanging out in a window here. Kind of rude just to leave the body hanging in a window, but I don't know. I guess the Alonne Knights, they play by their own rules. So, invisible wall number 1, invisible wall number 2. And there is a ballista behind me, and if you want to use it to hit this Alonne Knight, you are more than welcome to. It only deals about 1/3 of his HP and damage. It is nothing like the ballista that you could use in the Pursuer fight the first time we run into him in the Forest of Fallen Giants. And that Knight did drop 3 Iron Great Arrows, and here we go with some Fire Arrows. We will press on. Now this next room can be very dangerous if you are not careful and if you decide to neglect the Alonne captains who have the great bow, and they're going to hit you with some of those great arrows that will push you around. And considering there's lava all over the place underneath us and we are going to be walking on some precarious ledges, as always, I recommend using those range attacks to deal with them if you can. From here, we will go ahead and lower the bridge, lower the first half of the bridge at least. And we are going to deal with that one great bow captain. That way we don't have to risk being knocked off when we do cross that bridge. But first I want to contemplate life for just a moment. I wish I had something witty to say about those herbs. And it won't be 420 Blaze It. That's not witty. It's not even funny. Alright, with those 2 out of the way, now we can proceed to the end of this area, and we'll deal with one of the other bowmen. So hop down and then hop down again. Quickly grab this item to get ourselves a Soul of a Proud Knight and some repair powder. And run all the way down here to the ladder. Now I goof at the top of this. It's very simple if you have any sort of item that breaks poise, especially the mace, to equip this, two-hand it, run up, and you can knock the Alonne captain right off the edge. However, a backstab in this case will work just as well. Not to mention, if you do knock him off the edge, obviously you're not going to get the drops, which in this case we do get the leggings. And the iron chest will contain the life ring +1 and a Twinkling Titanite for us. Now the life ring +1, the upgraded version to the one we found in the Forest of Fallen Giants, that will give you an extra 7.5% HP. So if you're looking to max out your vitality, here's the life ring +1 for you. You can safely hop down. And now we can start making our way across the bridge. Now, just a word of note here, you'll notice in just a little bit, Lucatiel's summon sign is not here. Now, I've talked to her in Black Gulch, I've talked to her in Earthen Peak, I have talked to her in the No Man's Wharf, so I'm wondering if I actually talked to her too much for her sign to appear. I can confirm that her sign is still present in Black Gulch, so I can summon her for the Rotten, and it remains to be seen whether or not we'll be able to summon her for the Lost Sinner, but we will find out later. In the meantime, a pair of large Titanite shards and some Twinkling Titanite. And coming up here to get an item. Now, I like to take care of that Alonne Captain before I enter this area. And we'll grab the old Radiant Lifegem Green Blossom. And the reason is, these pillars on either side of the walkway, those will explode if you or the captain hits them. And it is enough to actually throw you off the edge. So, if you can mitigate that danger by taking care of the captain, I highly recommend it. Now, there's no reason that you have to pull this lever, unless you have OCD that's about to kick in, or if for some reason you hate angles. Although technically a straight line is still an angle, it's just 180 degrees. Is it still an angle? I mean, I know it can be measured at 180 degrees, but what defines an angle? Something to think about. But while we're thinking, we can make this jump, run down to the end, grab this iron chest, and grab ourselves the Zweihander, or the Zweihander. If that's racist, I apologize. It quite likely is. And now, for this jump. This is not a difficult jump to make. Just make sure that you're running before you try jumping, or you'll just roll, and we can get the dull ember. Now, whether you do a baby jump or you do a full-size jump, you can rest assured that your roll is not going to carry you over that edge. I've never seen anyone roll into the lava. I've seen people miss the jump, but I've never seen people overshoot it. Alright, using the Pharros Lockstone gives us this pool of healing water. More importantly than its healing properties, though, is that it's water. And when you roll in water, or if you get wet in Dark Souls 2, your fire defense increases dramatically. So we're going to use that with Flash Sweat in order to get some items. Hop over to get a large soul of a Nameless Soldier and the red Leech Troches. It is Troche, by the way. I had to look this up. It is pronounced Troche, but back to those in a moment. So we'll cast Flash Sweat, and now coupled with the water that we got earlier, we can easily make it to this chest, and we can grab ourselves the Phoenix Parma, which is a very lackluster shield. It looks kind of cool. It has a phoenix on it, but anyway, back to the Troche. So a Troche is a lozenge. So for those of you who don't know, a lozenge would be some sort of dissolvable tablet that you would take by mouth, typically for something like a cold or a sore throat. So a red Leech Troche is a lozenge to be taken by mouth that, according to my understanding, is made with leeches, and it helps with bleed resistance. Yeah, I know. I'm a bit lost in that as well. So here's Magarold. Now, a couple things with Magarold. Number one, your Skeptic and your Simpleton spices, this is where you're going to use them to reduce the intelligence and faith requirements. Now, he also carries the Jester set, each which has a unique property. We're going to buy the Helm, which will give us increased item discovery, simply because we want to get rid of this Traveling Merchant's hat. And of course, if you don't buy all the wood carvings in memory of Hawkeye Gough, you're just not human. We're going to pick up Darkstorm just because it's a great Hex AoE, but more importantly, we spent 10,000 souls with Magarold, so we can get the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring +1 to further increase our item find later on when we want to do some farming. Now we're back in this area where we did fight one of the Alonne Knights, and we're going to roll through these jars. We're going to cast Flash Sweat again, and we're going to very casually pick up this item underneath this fire-breathing bullhead. And we get the Iron Key. Now the Iron Key is not used in Iron Keep or anywhere nearby. This is for the door that is right before the last giant boss fight in the Forest of Fallen Giants, and all it does is lead you to the Fire Salamander area, which we've already taken out using the Silvercat ring, so the ring is essentially useless to us. Cast another Flash Sweat, run under here and grab ourselves a human effigy. And we start making our way back. Now, the water, most likely, I'm switching out the Jester's cap back for the Traveling Merchant's hat. only because I don't actually have the dexterity to use the Jester's hat just yet. So we'll put that on just as soon as we can. I'm not sure how long the water lasts. I didn't want to test it, but because this one takes a little longer to get to, I didn't want to risk running out of the fire defense while I was out on that small platform. So we do have some more jars here. We'll make use of them and head back to the middle of the bridge. And once we're on this first platform, we'll cast Flash Sweat. With this first gap, do not jump, just roll. Now for this next one and all the subsequent ones, you want to try to land a baby jump. And by a baby jump, you can see I barely leave the ground. I don't want to go for maximum distance because if you do, you will roll too far. So the baby jumps are just enough. So grab ourselves a Bonfire Ascetic, top off the health, and we're going to make it back because you can make it back safely. You don't have to homeward bone out. If you're nervous, go ahead and use a bone, but we can make it. Again, going for the baby jumps. And then this is just going to be an angle jump to the left. And we will top off again. Make sure we have a good running start. A good running start. There it is. And of course, don't forget to clench. I kid you not, I was very clenched during that jump. That was the first time I've ever made the jump. In fact, that was the first time I've ever made my way out to even get that item. Truth be told, I didn't know what that item was until I just got it now. Or previously when I recorded this. But anyway, that is all the items in this area. So really the only thing we have left to do now is to go take out the Smelter Demon. Sadly, we're going to do so solo since I apparently messed up Lucatiel's questline somewhere. Again, I'm very much hoping that I can summon her for the Lost Sinner. I think I'll be able to. And if so, I can still complete her questline because I can use her for the Rotten and I can use her for the Lost Sinner, which would make up the 3 boss fights requirement to get her armor later on. Making sure I have enough spells to take this guy out. And there will be a quick transition here because I did have to cut the video here while I went and took care of something, but it's hardly noticeable. I mean, look at that pro editing. In fact, what editing, right? That was a solid clip. Alright, if you're quick, you can get 2 casts off here at the beginning, no problem. And luckily, I did not get the glitch where he throws you into the wall. If he does that thrusting attack and he pushes you just right, you'll get stuck in the wall. And sadly, there's no fix unless he himself hits you back out again. Typically, he kills you instead. Now, we are playing this with base adaptability. The invincibility frames, or the added invincibility frames with higher adaptability, make this fight not very difficult, if I'm being honest. It took a little bit of practice in order to get the rolls down with this low of adaptability, though. And I don't always get it just right. For example. The thrust attack is one of the easier attacks to dodge when you're actually up close to him. All in all, not a terribly difficult boss fight. I know this boss gave a lot of people problems when they first started playing Dark Souls 2, myself included, but as long as you learn to roll through his attacks and wait for the right time to actually unleash your own attacks, it really isn't that difficult, especially when you consider that he's not an overly aggressive boss. And what I mean by that is, after all of his combos, he gives a big opportunity to attack him. And we get the Smelter Demon Soul, but more importantly, we get the much coveted Porcine Shield and some Flame Butterflies. So, for you pig aficionados out there, you're welcome. We're going to light this bonfire, and we're going to go out here and take care of this one last Alonne captain out here to see if we can get any drops. And we do indeed. We can get the Alonne captain helm now. Now, there are only 2 pieces of Captain armor. You can get the Alonne Captain helm and the Alonne Captain chest piece. The other sets come from just the Alonne Knight. So the Alonne Leggings and the Alonne Gauntlets. And now that we've rested at the bonfire, we're going to come back down and meet an old friend of ours. That's right, the Pursuer, living up to his name, has pursued us from the Forest of Fallen Giants here to Iron Keep, trying once again to take us out. However, it is the same enemy, slightly higher HP, but the same exact move pattern. So if you learned it in Forest of Fallen Giants, you've learned it for this fight. So this is the second of 3 or 4, depending on how you want to look at it, times that we're going to actually fight the Pursuer. And wow, did that come close. Luckily, he gives so many opportunities to heal. And just because I wanted to finish him off mono Pursuero, I decided to use my mace to take him out, and we get the Ring of Blades +1. So the first Pursuer that we fought gave us the original Ring of Blades, and now we have the +1 version thanks to his counterpart, and we get an extra 35 physical damage whenever we use it. And before we call this episode complete, we are going to head back to Majula and take care of a couple of errands that we can now complete. First and foremost, we're going to head over to our good friend Malin, and now that we've spent over 16,000 souls and killed the Smelter Demon, he's going to have a very unique set of armor that we can now purchase from him.
You need armor?
So if you'd like to have the look of having a god knows what on your face, you can go ahead and pick up the entire Smelter Demon set from Malin now that we've killed the Smelter Demon.
Are you sure?
If you're looking for something heavy with really high fire defense, Smelter Demon set is for you. Or if you have other tendencies, fetishes even. Anyway, next we're going to go talk to Crestfallen Soldan, and something we could have taken care of a little while ago, but now that we've had 4 people join us back here in Majula, he is now cheered up, so to speak, and he's actually going to give us a gift in the form of a soul vessel.
It is very... May you find peace on your journey.
So now we have 2 soul vessels, so we can play around with some builds later on. But that is going to wrap it up. That is the first half of Iron Keep. Next time we will take out the rest of Iron Keep, including Belfry Soul. So I hope you tune in then. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a comment and let me know, and I'll talk to you next time.